Welcome to Let the Boys Kiss, the creation of queer ships, where we ask the question, is it queer baiting, queer coding, or queer canon?
This week, we'll be discussing Nosferatus. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Kelsey.
You heard it right, Nosferatus, plural.
Just in time for spooky season.
Spooky season.
We're going to talk about a spooky little guy named Nosferatu.
Hell yeah. So, we are talking about a spooky little guy named Nosferatu and a less spooky little guy named Hutter.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do it in the context of 3 films. What are those films?
Well, we will be starting with the original Nosferatu from 1922, F.W. Murnau's.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also be discussing the more recent Nosferatu from 2024 from Robert Eggers. Movies made almost a century apart, over a century apart.
Fascinating.
Wow.
How has
And then we will
time
also be
changed?
talking, indeed. And then we will also be talking about a movie from the year 2000 called Shadow of the Vampire, which I've been wanting to watch ever since we learned about it.
I believe you mean Burn Ed to Light.
I do. Originally called Burned to Light, star Willem Dafoe went up to the director and said, "Who's Ed?" And they said, "We've got to change the title of this movie," although I don't know who else would have seen
No
the
one
title
else
Burned to Light
in the world
said,
would have
"Who's
thought
Ed?"
that. But for clarity, for Willem Dafoe.
Burn Ed to Light.
But also, like, what does burned to light even mean?
I don't know. Shadow of the Vampire is better. So yeah, we watched all 3 of those films. You and I, of course, had seen Nosferatu
The original,
before,
yes.
and big fans.
Oh yeah, we love it. If you've listened to our other podcast, we raved about it over there. So
We did a before the Oscars silent film episode. We love him.
yeah,
We love him. We love the movie. It's great. And we will get into how we feel about these other 2 films.
yeah. But we thought, how can we talk about this on Let the Boys Kiss? Because any excuse to talk about that cute little guy, Nosferatu.
Well, also we should say our plan is over the next few years around spooky season to do different kinds of vampires. So we've gotten suggestions for various vampire content.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll do like lesbian vampires one year. We're going to do the interview with the vampires one year.
Yep.
Your classic Draculas one year.
Absolutely.
So this is the start of a multi-year.
We're on a vampire quest.
Yep. But we're starting with Nosferatu. So let's get into it. What is Nosferatu?
Well, it's basically Dracula, but when F.W. Murnau went to make the movie, he could not get the rights to Dracula from the Stoker family. And so he was like, fuck it, let's change the names and do it anyway. And he did. And, it didn't go over well with the Stoker clan, who tried to have every copy of the film destroyed. But thankfully, they were not able to have it destroyed, and it persists now. So if people know Dracula, they'll know what that means. But the broad strokes are, there's a guy in this case in a little German town who works for like a property seller, and he gets sent on a journey to Transylvania to close the deal on some property with a count who lives there, in this case called Orlok. And he goes, the villagers are like, "We don't like that guy, you shouldn't go there." He's like, what do they know? He goes to the castle. The guy's pretty weird. Turns out he's a vampire. And then he sees our guy's wife, is like, wow, what a wife that is. I gotta get after her. Goes on a quest back to this guy's hometown. He follows him to the hometown. And then the wife is able to use her powers of goodness to save the day, basically. Yeah. So what are the specific beats for these guys that we're talking about?
Yeah, we should say we are looking at Hutter, who is the man selling the property in this case, and Nosferatu. So yes, Hutter travels from his hometown of Weisberg, Germany, to sell this property to Nosferatu. As you said, he arrives in Transylvania, and a bunch of peasants are like, "You should not go to that castle." And they give him a cool book that's about vampires.
It's spooky.
It's a spooky little book. He starts reading it at night while he's staying in an inn, and then he goes, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And he goes, yawn. And then he puts the book down, even though it's like, vampires do X, Y, Z. And he's like,
Yeah,
whatever.
sure. Vampires aren't real.
So no one will take him to the castle, and he gets dropped off pretty far away. And then a mysterious carriage with a interesting man arrives and brings him on up. And then he walks up to the castle doors open, and he meets Orlok inside, who looks a little bit like the man who drove the carriage.
Yeah, they're
but
both like
who's to say?
deathly pale, but you know, it's Transylvania. Maybe that's just what people look like here. Who's to say?
Could be. And as you said, Count Orlok seems super normal. Like just like
So
a regular guy. He is like, you're here really late. All my servants have gone to sleep.
Yeah, thanks for getting here after midnight. Now I have to
Jeez.
tend to you myself. He's
Oh my
really mad about it.
But he set out dinner for him. Very nice. And while they're eating dinner, Hutter is slicing bread towards his finger. You never do a knife towards.
Yeah, he's not got great bread cutting technique.
Yeah. And he cuts his thumb. And how does Orlok react to that?
Orlok reacts dramatically, shall we say. But as soon as there's blood around, he says, "You've done yourself injury. The precious blood." And he grabs Hutter's finger and sticks it in his mouth and starts sucking the blood. A guy he's just met.
Mm-hmm.
Very intimate.
And Hutter's like, not sure about that. But, you know, what are we going to do? And it's getting late, you know, and Hutter's like, maybe we should go to bed or something? And Orlok says, should we not keep one another company a little while, most lovely man? It is yet quite a long time until sunrise, and I sleep in the day, my dear fellow. I truly sleep the deepest sleep.
He does. He sleeps such a deep sleep. So we cut to the next day and can presume that the two of them kept each other company because Hutter wakes up in a chair in front of the fireplace in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a couple of bites on his neck. In, you know, like right next to each other. But he thinks must be mosquitoes.
But he does find that Orlok has made him a lovely breakfast and left it for him on the table. And so he eats breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to the next night.
Yep.
They're signing the papers. He's going to buy the house. And this is when Orlok sees a locket that Hutter has that has a picture of Hutter's wife, Ellen, in it. And he says, a beautiful neck your wife has.
Again, really normal guy.
Mm-hmm.
Super normal thing to say when you see a picture of someone's wife. And he's really, like, obsessed with this picture to the point where Hutter is like, he's being really weird about my wife's picture. But they go to bed again. Hutter's hanging out in his bedroom. He opens his door to, I don't know, walk around the castle. I'm not sure why he's opening his door. And down the hall, Nosferatu is just awkwardly standing there staring at the door.
His little shoulders up, hands to the side.
Little hands. And you guys really aren't, you gotta look at pictures of Nosferatu because you're not understanding why all of this is so cute. But for some reason, he sees this adorable, awkward little guy standing down the hallway and he gets really freaked out by it. And he tries to hide, but it's not gonna happen. Nosferatu comes to him in bed. And again, they keep each other company for the evening, whatever that means. And
presumably.
This time when he wakes up in the morning, he's not as happy about it. He's not as chill. Doesn't really buy the mosquito argument anymore, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think he's been reading the vampire book again and is like putting two and two together.
Starting to seem a little bit more suspicious. And so then the following evening, he sees Nosferatu doing something a little suspicious.
Yeah, he's loading a bunch of coffins filled with dirt onto a cart, and then he sees him sort of stop motion slide into one of the coffins, and then the cart leaves. And he's like,
That's odd. So he's putting a couple things together. He's like, oh, he's traveling in coffins away from me. I'm here locked in my bedroom. And he was really obsessed with that picture of my wife. So I wonder if he's going home to where she is.
To be fair, he bought the house across the street from them, so he is probably going to the house.
He could go to his own home. It's his own property.
Yeah.
But Hutter's like, I gotta get out of here. Because I can't
I gotta warn folks.
Exactly.
This guy's weird.
He's so weird.
So he makes a rope out of bed sheets.
As
Classic
you do.
move.
Climbs out his window. Falls, hurts himself a little. But luckily, we just sort of like jump and he's traveling. So he's fine. But Nosferatu, his journey is much more interesting because he goes by ship. And weird stuff starts happening on this ship. Not only are his coffins full of dirt, but they also are full of rats, which are kind of like his, like, companions slash familiars slash, like, what you would normally think of a bat being to a vampire. And so the ship has these problems. People start getting sick. People start having visions of weird stuff happening down by the coffins. And eventually people start dying. And we find out that every port that the ship goes into is, like, spreading plague. And it's bad times. So the ship finally makes it into Wiesbaden, Germany. And everyone on board is dead. There's, like, well, everyone's gone, really. But the captain is dead, lashed to the wheel. And it's a real mystery what's going on this ship.
It's troubling.
It's troubling. But they read the captain's log, they hear about rats, they hear about bites, and they go, oh no, plague! And so they, like, shut down the whole town, as you do when there's plague.
Yes. Hutter's also made it back to Germany somehow about the same time as Nosferatu. Little unclear how he did that, but good
traveling
for him.
Yep.
We do get to see Nosferatu going around town with his little coffin filled with dirt under his arm as he goes to his house.
Cute.
It's really adorable. And of course, he is after Hutter's wife, Ellen, because she has such a beautiful
that neck.
Now, his wife ends up reading the creepy book, even though he said, please don't read this creepy book.
It's too creepy. You shouldn't read the creepy book. But, I mean, who wouldn't?
And she learns that if a pure woman freely offers herself to a vampire, he will forget about the sunrise and die.
Yeah.
So she does that.
Yeah, so she does that. Which, you know, good on her. Saving the town from plague.
I mean, she's a hero.
She is a hero. So, yeah, she dies, he dies. Lots of people die. But at least the plague's magically over and there's no vampire. Yeah.
Happy ending.
Happy ending for all.
Except for Hutter. He's sad. He liked his wife a lot.
Yeah, they had a nice little marriage. But anyway, that's Nosferatu. And we should talk about the context of Nosferatu, because that's sort of an important part about it. So tell me about F.W. Murnau.
So, yeah, you know, we can talk generally about how, like, monsters and monster movies are queer-coded. And he certainly is an interesting little guy who doesn't fit into regular society.
An outcast, really, you might say.
With interacting with folks, you know. But I think one of the reasons that people are interested in this as a case of queer coding is that F.W. Murnau was a closeted gay man.
Yeah, there's like dispute about how closeted he was. It sounds like he maybe was sort of like, it was known by his friends and the art community, but you know.
It was 1922.
It was 1922. But that's also part of the context of this. He's living in the Weimar Republic between the two world wars. So it's an interesting time in Germany because it's kind of, there's a lot of cultural loosening going on, including in terms of gay people being like sort of out. Like, it was still illegal, not like out, but like they started to exist in public spaces. And so they had that going on, and they also there was like immigration stuff happening, all sorts of interesting things going on in the Weimar Republic. But of course, with that comes cultural backlash by people who don't like all of this change. They had a pretty severe form of cultural backlash, but we don't have to fully get into it.
Can't relate.
We can't relate. That's never happened here. So anyway, there's reactionary forces, and this story sort of becomes a representation of all of that, because not only is Orlok sort of like, you know, he's an outcast in a lot of ways. He's coded as queer in multiple ways because, you know, he's like sucking the necks of guys and girls, and he's all equal opportunity. But he also is representative of fears of like Jewish people, Eastern Europeans, all of that coming into town, as people are always so uncool about.
Yeah.
So it's a story about xenophobia. It's a story about the threat of outsiders, and it's also the story about the threat of queer sexuality. And I guess how, like, the purity of white ladies can save us all.
Oh, always the purity of white ladies. Can't get away from it.
Nope.
So we've got a little bit between Nosferatu and Hutter when they're together in Eastern Europe, living their lives, being free.
Yeah. But then they come back to Western Europe and everybody cracks down.
Yeah.
Just stay in Eastern Europe and suck each other's fingers, you know?
Yeah. So, it's fun. It's a fun movie. The character design, iconic. Great. Max Shrek, killing it.
Fun cinematography.
Great cinematography.
It's delightful.
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
You should watch it.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen Nosferatu, it's a good time. And yeah, it sets up a lot of what people know as vampires going forward. It's the first movie where a vampire dies from sunlight on screen. It's doing all of that sort of stuff.
And it's a cool hour and a half.
It's a clean 90-something minutes. So just watch it. Come on.
The boat sequence is also awesome.
It's so cool. And I want to see a movie about the detectives that find the ship of all of the missing people and have to piece everything together. It would be awesome.
Yeah. Because what a mystery.
What a mystery.
All right. So that's Nosferatu 1. I think we're going to talk about Robert Eggers' Nosferatu 2024 now. Now, we're 100 plus years later. Are we going to make this queer-coded subtext
into text?
Like, let's do it.
Let's
It's 2024, baby.
Hell yeah, nothing's stopping you.
Is that what Robert Eggers is interested in?
No.
Oh, man.
Let me tell you what Robert Eggers is interested in. I'm not sure.
Well, we know he's interested in female sexuality,
yeah.
but
what does he have to say about it?
Questionable.
Unclear. All we actually know he's interested in is verisimilitude. Mm-hmm. But he's bad at it because he made all of his German characters have British accents.
I did say to you, because I knew going into it that was his thing. And obviously we know Nosferatu is a sort of adaptation of Dracula. Mm-hmm. But Dracula, when they go back to England.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, maybe in this one it's England because they're English.
Right.
But then it was Germany. And I said, what?
Why do they have English accents? What does it all mean?
I don't know. It's a weird choice for someone so interested in verisimilitude. And then you and I had a fantasy about someone actually just making this film in German and casting like everyone who was in Edward Berger's All Quiet on the Western Front.
That would be sick. Does he not actually care about making it realistic? Get Germans.
Yeah.
Make it in German. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. Anyway, once I got over the British accent hump, it's interesting because if early on, he sticks somewhat closely to the movie. The events of Hutter leaving and going to the castle are, for the most part, similar with some key changes that lost things that I don't think should have lost. But then the movie is 45 minutes longer than Nosferatu. And so as it's going on, I'm thinking, like, what is he going to add to make it that much longer? I guess just stuff with Ellen, because I knew that it was supposed to be more about Ellen. And that's sort of true. But also, he adds a lot of stuff with Aaron Taylor Johnson, who plays a character.
And his whole family.
That's barely a character in Nosferatu.
And you're like, who is this guy?
There's this couple. We didn't talk about them because they don't matter. But in the original, also, when Hutter leaves, he leaves his wife with their friends, this couple, so that she doesn't have to be alone because he's going to be gone for a long time. Traveling is slow. And so in this, they become characters because she's dealing with demonic possession and such, weird dreams and somnambulism. And so they're there dealing with it. And Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is like, we got to get this hysterical woman looked at by doctors.
And then the doctors become characters.
Yes. There's a lot more characters in the new one. But not a lot more depth. Because, yes, you're right. He's interested in female sexuality. But what is he saying about it?
Seems like he's saying it is bad.
Well, at least she, I don't know about deserves to, but will be punished for it.
Yeah. Although he says, do we have the quote about her reclaiming her power through death? Did we take that?
I think that's in this thing.
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Don't worry. That's coming. But anyway, we should finish talking about what the changes are from the novel. So, less gay all around. Anytime it leans into gay stuff in the original, that's gone. Nosferatu doesn't suck Hutter's finger. He doesn't say they should keep each other company for the night. Also, weirdly, they've switched the location of the bite from the neck to the chest.
Well, again, that's his research showing that in folklore, they were like, they suck from near the heart. And you're like, okay.
Who cares? Vampires always suck from the neck. That's what a vampire is.
It's just a much more convenient place to like cock your head in and get your teeth right in there than the chest. The chest is like flat. It's odd. It's not a place to bite a person.
It's a weird place to suck from. And also you have to take the person's shirt off to make it happen.
Yeah.
Which could, I mean, that could be sexy, but it's also just not convenient.
No. Neck's much better.
Yeah. So
And there's a big old vein in there.
Mm-hmm. It's a good place to suck from. The story with Ellen is slightly different because in the new movie, when she was young, she was like had a bad experience with her dad, was being abused somehow, unclear, but she was really lonely and she cried out into the ether for companionship and somehow woke Nosferatu with her longing, and the two of them made a pact.
Yeah.
Before she met her husband. And then she's been apart from him while she's been with her husband because she has a lovely, happy marriage. But now he's back in her life. He's in her thoughts. He's in her dreams. And he's trying to re-up the compact. I really don't understand what's going on with the magic of it. But
yeah. As people who have watched a bunch of Supernatural in particular, but supernatural things, she didn't seem to understand like the full scope of her pact. And it's just not how demons usually work.
Yeah, I mean, making a pact with a demon is mostly about intent. When they're like, you're going to give me your soul, they want you to understand that's what's happening. And you're like, yeah, I will give you my soul. And then the deal is struck. Whereas in this, he's sort of like finagling things out of people. He also at one point gets Hutter to sign a contract in a language that he doesn't speak. And later tells Ellen that the contract was actually Hutter signing away his rights to Ellen. And we're not really sure how that's all works.
True? Is that what it was, or is that a lie?
He might have been lying to her, because he definitely lies about some
know.
things, but it's not clear. Because we can't read the language of the contract either,
Yeah.
So yeah, Ellen's already connected to him. He comes back into their lives because of her, so that's even more like women are the cause of their problems, I guess. Unclear what he's trying to say there. And then it's about her, it's about desire, etc. At one point, when Ellen is fighting with Hutter about the vampire, she does say she accuses him of falling into the vampire's arms as a swooning lily of a woman.
Which is rich of her to say.
Right?
You're the one who made a pact, and you're the reason he's here.
Yeah, man, you're the swooning lily. Anyway, get it. Because it's unclear to me what Nosferatu represents in the new version.
I think he's supposed to represent her desire. He says that. He says a lot of things.
He talks so much.
And I know it's like a crazy statement to go from a silent movie to a talking and be like, he talks too much, but he really talks too much. The thing with the original Nosferatu is he's very enigmatic. Yeah. You're like, what's going on with him? There could be so much. I don't know, man. Like he's
mysterious.
Showing up as a carriage driver. He's standing down a hallway. Like it could be anything. And this Nosferatu is like, this is me. This is what I'm doing. Blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, no, dude. Silence is more mysterious. We want you to be mysterious.
Yeah. Speaking of the carriage driver, in the new one, he does not drive the carriage. The carriage is like driven by a ghost or something. There's no one in it. I don't understand what was going on there.
Yeah, there's just so many weird little changes where you're like, but why? And the worst weird change is the change to the character design. Because the whole reason, in my mind, to make Nosferatu instead of just making Dracula or a movie called The Vampire, which seems very in line with Eggers,
The Witch,
is because of the iconic character design.
Yeah. But he doesn't seem to like the character design that much. So he made sort of bulkier. He's still bald. He still has long nails.
He's thin, but he's like bigger.
He feels, kind of muscly. And he has a mustache, which is the real, like, what's going on there.
And his head is an odd shape.
A different odd shape than Nosferatu's odd-shaped head. Yeah.
It's more angular. And his hands are more normal.
Yeah, but he still has long nails. But, yes.
He had longer fingers.
Yeah, they should have made
his outfit is different.
His outfit is very different. And he's gross. He looks like he's decomposing. He's got all sorts of open wounds.
He's got a real wheezy, deep voice, which is not how we imagined our Nosferatu.
No. Not at all.
He talks way too much. It's a very chatty movie.
Well, but he talks so much, but still, what is he even talking about? Like, I get that he just wants to possess people because that's what he likes to do, but, like, that's not that interesting. They should have gotten more into the thing about him being a dragon wizard.
Should have. It's revealed in a line that they believe he had been a wizard, a type of Romanian wizard that rides a dragon, and then he became a demon. And you're just like, what?
What do you mean? A dragon wizard?
Huh? What? You want to tell me more about that?
Nope.
Nuns?
Nothing else about that.
Okay.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah, they lose so many of our favorite moments from the original Nosferatu, mostly him running around with his coffin.
Yeah, he doesn't once walk around with his coffin under his arm. Missed opportunity. He hardly ever stands at the end of a hallway looking awkward.
Nope. He doesn't have a cute little skeleton clock.
Yeah. He doesn't do any of the good stuff. And they're doing the thing which is usually smart in horror of, like, showing less because it's scarier, even though we should say this movie was not scary.
It wasn't.
But it means that you're, like, pretty much never really seeing his face. They're hiding stuff from you, and then you're catching glimpses of, like, is that a mustache? Like, that's the experience of trying to figure out what's going on with this guy. So, yeah, he doesn't capture the essence,
the imagination
of original Nosferatu.
And he doesn't capture the imagination of the viewer. You're just like, okay.
It's just like a
big old rotting guy.
Mean guy. And rotting.
Yeah, he's much meaner.
He's mean. Nosferatu in the original is not mean.
Everyone's meaner in this movie.
I mean, he'll kill you.
And Ellen is mean.
But, like, Ellen is mean, too. It's just a meaner movie.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is mean.
He's so mean. I mean, Hutter's still nice. Nicholas Hoult is lovely as Hutter.
Yeah.
And
Willem Dafoe's nice.
Willem Dafoe is nice as the Paracelsian.
Mm-hmm.
And then her friend is, like, fine, I guess.
Yeah, she's like a non-entity.
Yeah. But there's a lot of meanness. Whereas in the original, it's like naive people coming up against mysterious things they don't understand. Different vibe altogether.
I told you, though, when I finished New Nosferatu, I was like, I think this is for the best Nicholas Hoult. So you can get yourself a nice
life. You'll find someone else. It's going to be okay. Get out of that demon situation. Although, we have a pitch for that later, so stay tuned.
We do have a pitch for that. Stay tuned. We have an idea for what could happen with Nicholas Holt's character. And we didn't talk about Canuck at all.
Oh, yeah, we should talk about Canuck.
So he's Nosferatu's familiar.
And he's Hutter's boss.
He's Hutter's boss. He's Nosferatu's familiar. So he is very knowingly sending Hutter to Transylvania to come into the path of this
And he
guy.
tells him, making this deal's going to be tough. It might take some sweat or even some blood.
That's an original Nosferatu. Now, what's interesting is, does he know in the new one that Ellen already made a pact, or is it just a coincidence?
I don't think it's a coincidence, but I also don't think he knows. Because the reason that he's coming here is because of Ellen, but I think that the Nosferatu doesn't have any reason to tell Canuck that. So he's like...
So it's just a coincidence that Holt works for Canuck.
Well, no, I think probably Nosferatu got Canuck as his familiar because he wanted Holt.
Oh, interesting.
Because I feel like it makes sense that he wants Holt because it's her husband. And so he was like, who has the power to make that happen for me? And
I just always assumed Canuck was like a long-term familiar.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. That is
okay,
a lot of...
we don't know.
That is a lot of coincidences, though, if that's the case. We
don't know quite.
No, it's not explained.
The many machinations of new Nosferatu.
It's not explained. And in the original, I feel like it sort of plays like he just reached out to this guy to buy this property, and then the interacting with him is what made Knock into his familiar. Like they say, him drawing near has pulled Canuck into the shadows or something like that.
Okay.
But in the new version, you see early on Canuck doing like demon summoning spells or whatever. So he does feel more intentional. I don't know. Unclear.
There's a lot more Canuck in the new one. I don't think to the benefit of the film.
Well, there's so much Canuck, but he also doesn't do the best thing about Canuck in the original, which is when he escapes from prison, he sits on a roof and just like taunts people in the town, and they throw rocks at him.
Yeah, that's missing. So in the original, we cut to him and he goes crazy. He ends up in like prison or an asylum. Mm-hmm. We cut to him one time raving and like freaking out, and then he escapes.
Yep.
In the new one, we cut to him in this asylum like multiple times, biting off the heads of pigeons,
Yeah.
biting
And
people.
you're like, hey, still crazy.
I get it. This was also my problem with this movie. I was like, yes, it's 45 minutes longer. Okay, yes, they did add a bunch of characters, but there's a bunch of junk you could cut in here. I told you also early on, not only the German thing was throwing me, but we see Nicholas Hoult leave his house, walk to his office, and I was like, you could just cut to his office. I don't need to know how he got there.
That's the realism.
I don't need to see him travel in real time. Now, I get they're trying to establish the town so later when everything's gone to chaos, we're like, oh my, but I still don't need it.
I didn't mind that because when he was doing it, it was still early enough that it wasn't like annoying me, everything about it. And so he was walking down the street and I was thinking, oh, that street does look a lot like the street from the original. Like that's what I was still experiencing at the time.
I think I just knew it was 45 minutes longer. So I was like, is this why? Because I can't handle this.
There's just a lot of walking.
I don't want to, I don't need it. You can just cut and I'll assume we got there and it's fine. But there's a lot more like dream sequences and like people having weird experiences. And I think it is supposed to be scary, but you're just like, okay.
It just wasn't scary.
And then he never gets a spooky book.
Yeah, what's up with there being no spooky book?
They replaced the spooky book with Willem Dafoe, a whole character.
Well, I mean, that character exists in the original because they talk about the Paracelsian, but he doesn't like have lines.
No.
I don't know. And it's like I already can't remember, and I watched this movie like yesterday, basically, whatever day that was this week. Does the Paracelsian tell her specifically how to make him die? Because I don't remember them having that situation or that conversation. I know she pulls him aside and says, you're going to take my husband out and look for the guy, and I'm going to be the one who actually kills him because he's like only cares about me. But I just don't remember, because it's in the book that it's like you have to willingly give your blood and then it will make him forget the crow of the cock and then he will, like, it explains it all. Whereas I don't know how she knows what to do in this version.
He must have told someone at some point. He is talking throughout the movie about how like he's never actually met a vampire and he doesn't actually know what will work. He does mention that he thinks sunlight will work. That's in all of like the myths.
So maybe she just thinks like I'll be able to distract him long enough for him to stay.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean,
we're not fans. We stand Murnau's Nosferatu and not so much Eggers' Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm. This is the first Eggers movie I've seen.
Same.
I've been really excited to watch The Lighthouse, and this made me a little less excited, but I will at some point still give that a try.
Yes, I feel the exact same way as well. You know, it's lavishly made or something, but it's not like it looks better than the original Nosferatu. The original Nosferatu looks incredible.
It's totally different. Like, it's very pretty. There are nice shots, and he's using, like, you know, natural light and blah, 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 etc. And he's doing, you're like, oh, that's a nice shot. But yeah, it doesn't look better. It looks very different. Like, if you're going to do a Nosferatu actually as Nosferatu, you'd do it in black and white and you use, you know, chiaroscuro and all that shit and make it like dramatic black and white shots. So this has a totally different vibe than that, but it makes sense because his character design is completely different. So you're making the best use out of the original Nosferatu in black and white. That's what makes him look so dramatic. He's so pale. He has those dark circles around his eyes.
Yeah. He's wearing jet black clothes the whole time.
Right. So yeah, I certainly wouldn't say that this looks better. Like, clearly he is a good filmmaker. It looks nice. It just doesn't look...
He can compose a shot. Yeah. Can he tell a story?
No, not in this case.
Can he have successful themes?
I don't get your themes, bro. So let's talk about his themes.
Okay.
We usually go to quotes from actors, but we didn't really find anything that interesting from the actors, partially because there wasn't really that much queer subtext for anyone to respond to in this film. But we did want a quote from Robert Eggers to try to get to the heart of, what's your point about female sexuality and all that? Like, what are you trying to do here? And we found quite the interview.
Sure.
We'll only read you the part about this, which it's a kind of a doozy of a question as well, or like a setup for his comments. This is what the interviewer says to him. All of your films are about female desire upending the world. The usual modern spin on any movie that's about woman and desire is rah rah feminism, burn the patriarchy down. But you come at it differently.
And instead of being like, no,
I love feminism.
no, I think female sexuality is fine, he says. Ellen doesn't put on her husband's trousers and jump on the horse and kill the vampire with the stake. Yet to say that she is a female character with a ton of agency is a fact. To say that she's a victim is also a fact. But she's as much a victim of 19th century society as she is a victim of the vampire. People talk a lot about Lily Rose Depp's character's sexual desire, which is a massive part of the character, of what she experiences being shut down and corseted up and tied to the bed and quieted with ether, misunderstood, misdiagnosed. But it's more than that. She has an innate understanding about the shadow side of the world that we live in that she doesn't have language for. This gift and power that she has isn't in an environment where it's being cultivated, to put it mildly. It's pretty tragic. Then she makes the ultimate sacrifice, and she's able to reclaim this power through death. Should I keep going, or do you want to talk about that?
Finish, and we'll come back to it.
Okay. There's a lot of literary criticism about Victorian male authors who have strong female characters with chthonic energy and understanding, who are then punished unconsciously by the male authors by making them die. While there's certainly validity in that critique, I've also read feminist literary criticism that says how it's interesting that in this very repressed Victorian society over and over again, this archetype that was needing to consummate itself in the patriarchal imagination as a woman who understands the darkness and the sexuality and the earth juju and should be the savior of the culture.
Okay, so the last paragraph, I absolutely don't know what he's even saying.
Right. The problem, though, is if your take isn't that, like, female sexuality is good and healthy, your take is it's evil. Yeah. And that's the take that's in this movie. And you're like,
but he's saying
bad.
It's that she is the savior of the culture, but also that she needs to die to reclaim her power.
That's not how you reclaim your power.
Okay, so yeah, that I have to reply to, because the idea that one reclaims their power by dying is like, feels very male to me.
Men want to die so badly.
Men want to die so bad, and they want that to be like how they're remembered, and it's the ultimate way in which they prove their worth or something. Mm-hmm. I really don't think that, like, most women would think about dying as a way to reclaim their power. Especially since society wants us to die all the time. That's like the default state. So you don't really think about that being a way to be like, wow, I'm such a powerful woman, I died.
Wow, I'm such a powerful woman, I engaged with my sexuality, and then I died.
And it killed me. But I'm really intrigued, because it feels to me, even though I don't really understand what he's saying in the last paragraph, it feels like he's saying, I've heard the criticism that men always make movies about women being punished with death for having sexuality. But I hear your criticism and respond with, and he pins this on feminist literary criticism, that they're saying, actually, it's very powerful for her to use her darkness and sexuality to save the culture. And I'm like, you don't get to just be like, I've heard feminists say that it's actually cool for women to die, so I think that the criticisms about women dying are not valid.
But I think, right, there's no pushback on the idea that female sexuality is dark. If you're saying it connects you to something dark and otherworldly, you're saying it's weird and bad.
Yeah. You're by default saying that, like, male sexuality is normal, female sexuality is dark.
Yeah. Not acceptable, Robert. And I think it comes out in that scene where she's yelling at Nicholas Hoult that, like, he can't fuck her as good as Nosferatu, and then she's so mean to him.
She's mean. But also, why is she saying that to him? Because it seems like they have a perfectly healthy sex life at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, they seem to be having a great time together.
So then, not only is it weird for her to say that to him, but also, like, I get that, like, he's a man and it's a threat to his, you know, power or whatever for her to say that. But, like, he shouldn't really be threatened by her saying that, because he knows, as well as she, in reality, that they have a perfectly fine sex life. And so then she says that, and he does do exactly what she expects, which is be like, oh, I'll prove that I can fuck you better than the demon. But it just feels like out of character for him compared to everything else that's going on.
He should have taken her by the shoulders and been like,
clearly
I
you're
love
going
you.
through something.
It's okay. I know you love me too. You're just being possessed by a demon.
Exactly.
He's a bad
Like,
guy.
that feels like what he would have done in that scene.
But no, he didn't. Tried to prove himself. And then she laughed at him. And then you're like, what is this?
What's going on here? What does
What
it
are
all
you saying
mean?
about female sexuality?
I don't know. I don't get it. And I don't understand how we're supposed to feel at the end, I guess, really is the question. Because...
Well, I told you I feel good for Nicholas Hoult because he's gotten out of that situation.
Yeah, but how does Eggers want us to feel about her? Because it's hard
that final shot where he's dead on top of her and they're covered in blood in the bed.
But it's beautiful because there's flowers. Yeah. How are we supposed to feel about it? Because, yeah, she's, like, made this sacrifice to save... or just her husband in this version, because the demon has said to her, I'll murder your husband if you don't be with me, which is like hugely fucked up. That
doesn't seem like it would be part of the pact.
No.
Made.
Well, because he's like, she needs to willingly go with me, but then still threatens the life of her husband. And I'm like, that's not willing. You're not understanding at all your own like ideas about the deal. But the fact that they have made it that it's kind of Ellen's fault, not that I think it's her fault that she was like abused and lonely as a kid, but she's who invited the demon into their lives in this version of it. And then she's the reason that he comes to that he calls her husband to him. She's the reason that he comes to the town. And then ultimately she has to pay for it with her life. I'm like, am I supposed to feel like well, that's what you get?
That's how it reads to me. That is the most obvious reading, is like she gave into her sexual desire, so she gotta die.
So like, what is your point? That's just the same old regressive shit that we've watched forever. What's new or interesting about this?
Yeah, and you know who else dies? Her friend, who also seems to have a healthy sex life with her husband, who's a jerk.
Yep.
And both the men live.
They did add another woman dying in this that doesn't happen in the first one.
They actually added 3 more women dying because his 2 little girls also get killed.
Yeah. Every woman in this movie, we should say, every female character in this movie dies.
Including little girls.
Yeah.
Because another woman was like, I'd like to have sex.
I didn't even think about the fact that he made every female character die.
Yeah. The only women who live who we see are those nuns.
It's okay because he's read feminist literary criticism that says that it's interesting that female darkness and sexuality can be the savior of culture.
The nuns are the only women who don't die, and they're like, he can't come in here
because they live, and it's because they're pure.
They're chaste.
Yep,
they're nuns.
Yeah. The more you dig into it, the more you're like, this is not like new, interesting stuff about female sexuality. This is the same old, boring shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very reactionary.
Yeah.
To the idea that female sexuality is okay.
You'd think that the little girls would live. They're chaste.
Yeah, they're children. But we can't have movies where desire is rah-rah feminism.
No, that would be horrible and boring.
We've had that. Terrible.
That's passé at this point.
We must get back to a place where every woman dies.
We're over this whole feminism, burn the patriarchy down thing. That's so last decade. Now we're back to kill all the women.
Gotta make sure women know that they've got to die.
They've got to die. And I just can't get over him being like, I've read feminist literary criticism that says that it's okay, actually, for women to have to die for their sexuality.
Name your sources, Eggers. Who have you read? I want to see specific citations. With your deep research.
Well, there's certainly validity in that critique. I've also read feminist literary criticism. And what does he mean? It says how it's interesting is the word. That in this very repressed Victorian society, over and over again, the archetype that was needing to consummate itself in the patriarchal imagination is a woman who understands the darkness and sexuality and the earth juju and should be the savior of the culture. It's interesting that in a repressed Victorian society, the patriarchal imagination thought a lot about women saving society. Is that what he's saying? Like, what does it mean?
So the archetype is the woman who understands the darkness.
And uses that to be the savior of culture.
And that's what needs to consummate itself.
In the patriarchal imagination.
What does that mean?
Right? Keep going back to it. Like, what are we trying to say here?
I don't think Victorians thought, you have your virgin whore, right? Dichotomy
Yeah.
for women. I don't think Victorians were like, the whore is the one who's going to save us.
Well, because...
To my understanding.
Well, and like, okay, here's the thing we haven't dug into at all, which is crazy to me because it's the entire point of the movie. In the original Nosferatu, the reason she is able to save them is because she's pure. Like, she is married.
Yes.
But
she's had sex, but she's had it within the confines of marriage.
Exactly.
Which is
and
acceptable.
So in the book it says a pure woman, if she like freely gives her blood to him, will be the one who ends it. The woman in this version is, according to those rules, I assume, not pure, right? Because she's been giving herself to this demon since long before she was married. So you can't have that book that tells you that, because it's like, really, why is she the one that ends it? And it is, in his version, he's saying this woman, this sexual woman, is the savior of the culture, I guess, because she is the one who ends it. But it is the opposite story of Nosferatu, the original, because it is not the dark sexual woman with the earth juju who is the savior of culture. It is the pure woman.
Right, in original Nosferatu.
So he's saying, like...
So I guess he is saying that the whore is this, but then the wife and the children die.
Yes. But my point is, he's saying feminist critics, whoever they are, think it's interesting that in Victorian society, over and over, there was this archetype of the woman who understands darkness, who is the savior of culture. But what I'm saying is the original Nosferatu is the opposite of that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying as well. Exactly. I think in Victorian culture, it was always going to be the virgin,
who
saves quote, virgin,
society,
who's the savior.
So what? I guess I really don't even know what he's referring to.
Well, again, cite your sources, Eggers, and we'll read them and we'll figure out what you're talking about. Because maybe I'm just not as deep into
feminist
literary criticism about Victorian.
We couldn't possibly
literature.
Be as deep into it as Robert Eggers.
I mean, I like to read Gothic feminist literature from the Victorian era. I've done that. I don't know that I'm, catching the parallels here myself, but we can have a conversation about the Tenant of Wildfell Hall, Robert Eggers. I'm on board.
I always return to his beginning paragraph too, where he says that you have to admit that she is a female character with a ton of agency. Do you find that to be true about her?
She's in a weird contract, and she's
and
being...
It was foisted upon her as a kid.
Yeah. And
the reason that she entered into it is because she was so vulnerable as a kid, because she was being abused. Mm-hmm. So, she didn't choose.
I think she has more agency in original Nosferatu.
Yeah. She reads the book, and she's like, I could do something to save the town. I will make the sacrifice, even though I love my beautiful husband Hutter so much.
Yeah, it's really, she does that.
Yeah.
She's a great person.
She's really a good person. But not that Ellen in this isn't a good person. I'm just saying everything that happens to her. I guess she does ultimately decide to die to end it, but she has to. She's coerced. She didn't really have the means to know whether or not she should enter into this pact with the demon. She's in the pact with the demon.
Well, it also seems like the pact didn't have clear rules around it.
Exactly.
He's getting people to sign contracts in languages they can't read. He's a very sketchy
a sketchy demon. But she's in the pact. She probably wouldn't have chosen it if she'd known what was going to be the result of the pact. And now she's here. Then the choice she makes at the end to die is so that... Because she's been threatened with the death of her husband. He says, I will murder your husband if you don't come with me. That's not agency.
No, her alternative is to let her husband die.
I guess she could have just gone with him and not killed him, but, either way, she gets fucked.
Yeah. She's in a bad situation.
I don't understand you being like, she's got a ton of agency. When, for the most part...
she's a more central character.
That's not having agency. She spends the whole time...
I agree with you. I'm just trying to understand what he's thinking.
What? She spends the whole time having demonic visions and then being drugged by a bunch of men.
Uh-huh. I agree with that. That is what happened. She has a lot of seizures. She probably needs like a not a 1960s, but like a modern lobotomy.
Yeah.
She seems to have some kind of epilepsy.
Well, it might be caused by the demonic possession, though.
Yeah, but is it demonic possession or is it epilepsy?
Hard to tell, but in the rules of the movie, there definitely is a demon.
True.
Like, this is the thing. Whenever I watch stuff like this, I always do like to do the, like, well, if this was reality, she probably just has this illness. But, like, you can't watch the movie and think that there isn't a demon possessing her.
A mass hallucination.
Mass hallucination. Yeah, that's one of my, like I said to you earlier, one of my favorite things about the original is this tie between vampire and plague and when he comes to town. And how they treat it, and then, like, the officials of the town all are like, it's plague, and then the citizens of the town are like, can't be plague, it's vampire. And there's this, like, public health crisis going on because they all think it's a vampire instead of the plague, even though it does turn out to be a vampire. But
it does.
It's an interesting discussion. Yes, if there were no vampire, she definitely needs some treatment for her epilepsy and the various other things that are going on with her. But if you could just kill the demon, maybe she'd be fine.
Well, she does kill the demon, but she's not fine.
The only way to kill the demon is to die. It seems kind of crazy that she has to die because it's just sunlight. We couldn't do anything to trap the guy and then just, like, open a window?
They didn't even try.
They didn't even try is the thing.
They should have tried and failed to trap him.
Yeah, because then you'd be like, well, we've tried and there's no other option and she has to do it. And then I would have felt sad about her sacrifice. Like Bruce Willis in Armageddon.
Oh. Yeah, sometimes you get backed into a corner, but you got to at least try things.
Exactly.
She just sort of decides, like, don't tell my husband.
Well, you know why she's doing that? Because she feels guilty that it's all her fault. Because in the context of this movie, it is all her fault.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's fucked up.
Her husband found out he'd try to save her because he loves her so much.
Exactly, and she doesn't want to be saved because she's the dirty whore.
She knows she's bad.
Yeah.
And deserves to die.
Eggers, you've let us down.
Because when she was a teenager...
She was like, I'm so lonely, can't someone save me? And then a demon...
Like, the real version of this, she was a teenager, she masturbated once, her dad caught her, and then she's just been like, I need to die.
I have to
ever
die.
Since then, I'm a dirty, sinful, horrible woman.
Because I'm sure he said horrible things to her when it happened.
Called her a slut.
Yep.
And she went, I am a slut.
I am a slut. I'm possessed by a demon. Oh my god. Okay. Well,
so yeah, we think this movie is not achieving what Eggers is stating he's trying to achieve, and is just reinforcing negative stereotypes about women and women's sexuality.
And the vampire's not even cute.
No, he's not even adorable. And we never see him carrying around his coffin. He doesn't seem concerned at all about his soil.
I mean, yeah, he still sleeps in it, but he doesn't seem nearly worried enough. He didn't bring 5 extra boxes of soil.
Exactly. What if something happens to that one box of soil? He's screwed.
All right, we should stop. We should lay off of the Eggers for now, but suffice it to say, not for us.
No. But let's talk about a movie that is interesting. It's an interesting take on this whole situation. Shadow of the Vampire, the year 2000. Now, the premise of Shadow of the Vampire is it is about the making of original Nosferatu, but it posits, what if F.W. Murnau found a real vampire to star in his vampire movie?
Yeah. And this theory doesn't come from the movie. This is like a pre-existing theory that someone had that I'm sure inspired them to make the movie, but someone somewhere was like, Max Schreck, I don't think he's even a real guy. What if he was a vampire?
What if?
And the movie takes that one step further and says, yes, he was a vampire. And the way that Murnau explained this to the crew of Nosferatu is by saying that he was a Stanislavski method actor.
And that plays through the whole movie in a very fun way.
It's so delightful.
They're shooting the movie originally in Germany on a soundstage, and then Murnau's like, verisimilitude. He too is into verisimilitude.
But he actually achieves it.
It's true. So he's like, we're going to go out to Eastern Europe. I got a castle.
In the Carpathian Mountains.
An island. We're going to get on a boat. It's going to be all shot on location. Takes his whole crew out there, and they meet the guy who's going to play Nosferatu, and he seems in character.
Yeah, they're like, he's going to be in character the whole time. We will only be shooting him at night. He will be a vampire the whole time. You cannot refer to him as Max Shrek, basically. And so it totally works. Everyone buys it till, he starts eating the whole crew is the problem.
Yes. Well, throughout the movie, he's really struggling to not eat the crew, and Murnau keeps being like, we had a deal. You said you weren't going to eat my crew. And he's like, well,
he just keeps saying, like, what? What are you going to do? And he's not going to do anything. He's just going to nag him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just a ton of delightful jokes about Stanislavski and method actors. At one point, Murnau has to go back to Germany to hire a new DP.
Get a new cinematographer because Shrek ate the cinematographer.
And so he's just like hanging out on set, talking to the writer and the producer. And they're asking him, like they're indulging him and being like, so how did you become a vampire kind of conversation. And he grabs a flying bat out of the air, bites the head off of the bat. And they say, the German theater needs you. And after he tells his whole story and walks away, they're like, what an actor. It's so good.
He's really in character.
His commitment is unbelievable.
That's also the great scene when they ask him how he felt about reading Dracula, and he really had a reaction to it.
And it was so good. I don't know who wrote this movie, but that in particular was so delightful. He's like, I read Dracula. I found it quite depressing. And he starts talking about the scene where, what's the name of him in Dracula? The Hutter guy.
Oh,
the guy that is Hutter that goes to the castle. He's talking about how when he comes to the castle, Dracula himself would not have had servants in a long time. He wouldn't have had food. He wouldn't remember any of this because it's been hundreds of years. And he has to serve food to the guy. And he's like talking about how he wouldn't have any idea how to set the table or make the food. And I was like, it feels like a real vampire read that book and had that reaction, because how do you even think of that?
Harker is the name of the guy in Dracula. Yeah, a very interesting take that I had not considered. That, like, yeah, he probably wouldn't remember how to make food.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a fun little movie. Very silly. Also, like, a cool hour and a half.
Yep.
Great cast. Willem Dafoe is Max Shrek. You've got
John Malkovich is Murnau. At one point, bleach blonde Carrie Elwes shows up as the new DP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, and then at the end of the movie, in the final scene, he does start, like, killing everyone. But Murnau won't stop filming.
Well, the way that Murnau has convinced him to come be in the movie is that he really wants the main actress who plays Ellen. So he's promised him that if he films the whole movie and does his final death scene, then he will let him eat Greta, the actress. Mm-hmm. And so they get to the final scene and things really start to fall apart because a lot of people, like everyone other than Greta, has already figured out that he is a vampire. So they're like going along with it because they have to. And then Greta in the scene sees that he doesn't have a reflection in the mirror. So she also figures out. And then, it goes off the rails and he eats everyone. And yeah, Murnau just stands there and films the whole thing and achieves his perfect verisimilitude.
Yeah. There's also a funny scene where the vampire's like, I will not be getting on a boat.
Yeah. He's like, all right, we're going to film the boat sequence on our way to the island where Wiesberg is. And yeah, he just out of nowhere is like, I won't be getting on a boat. And so they end up having to build a whole fake boat in his yard. And he's going to have to fly him because Wiesberg, where they're filming, is on an island. So he's like, it's a lot. He's really a very difficult
it's a very
actor.
funny commentary about actors and their demands. Willem Dafoe's great, though.
He is nominated for an Oscar.
Looks like Nosferatu.
Looks just like Nosferatu. And you know who else looks just like their character?
Eddie Izzard.
He looks exactly like Hutter. I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, when I think looking at the cast, you're like, this is wild. It's Dafoe and Malkovich and Carrie Elwes and Eddie Izzard, and you're like, what's going on? And then you watch the movie and you're like, Eddie Izzard was perfect casting. He looks exactly like the man 100 years ago who played Hutter. Maybe Eddie Izzard is a vampire.
Ooh, now there's a theory.
And he is Hutter. He was great in the movie, too.
Everyone
He's so
thought that Max Schreck was a vampire, but really it was the guy who played
Is
Hutter.
he the one who calls him a Stanislavski?
Yeah, so at one point, during the finger-sucking scene, my favorite scene, the vampire gets a little, off the rails, and a generator goes out, things go crazy, and he jumps on the poor DP he's been feeding off of since the first night of production. And so he's on top of their cinematographer on the ground, and Murnau comes in when the lights are back on and is like, "What is the matter with you?" And Eddie Izzard is the one who says, "He's a Stanislavski lunatic. That's what's the matter with him." They'll do anything, those Stanislavski actors.
So true. All right.
Anyway, delightful.
Glad we watched it. We did not watch the Werner Herzog Nosferatu, which I understand is mostly a shot-for-shot remake of original Nosferatu. But that also exists.
It does. People like Nosferatu.
I like Nosferatu.
We are among those people. Oh, and I don't think we said, but in Shadow of the Vampire, Murnau, who was gay in real life, is gay in the movie. Yeah,
we see him go to a pretty cool nightclub.
Yeah.
At one point, he sees a handsome young man. He's like, "You working for me?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Sick."
Nice. When he leaves production early on to go somewhere, the producer and the writer are standing there and they're like, "What? Do you know where he's going? Maybe it's a woman or a man." And you're like, "Yep." Mm-hmm. So, just matter of fact. Gay. Yeah. All right. That's Shadow of the Vampire. So, let's talk about literature.
Okay.
On AO3, the original Nosferatu has a little tiny bit of fic. There are 52 fics in the original Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror tag, and 7 of them are Hutter/Orlok. And then in the new Nosferatu tag, there are 328 fic, and 52 of them are Hutter/Orlok. There are just as many in the original and slightly more in the new Ellen/Orlok fics. Mm-hmm. And there are quite a few Orlok/reader fics in both tags.
You original female character.
Everybody wants to imagine themselves with Orlok. Interesting.
I get it more in original Nosferatu.
Yeah, I want nothing to do with new Nosferatu. He seems like he smells disgusting.
There's also 3 Shadow of the Vampire fics.
Hell yeah. Only one of them is just Shadow of the Vampire, and it is Max Schreck/you, baby.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I like the idea, though, of it's Max Schreck/you, but you're a PA and you're just,
you work on the set.
His whims.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We only read a fic from the original Nosferatu, because, we just didn't really care to read one from the new one. And that fic was A Bit of Effort by Fujoshevik. Do you want to give me the overview of the fic?
Yeah, so this is taking place around everyone's favorite scene, the finger-sucking scene. And Hutter, of course, had been told, it might take, blood, sweat, tear, other fluids, who knows?
Any bodily fluids to get this deal done.
Yep. And so, basically, Nosferatu's sucking on his finger, and he's like, "You want to suck on some other stuff?" And Nosferatu's like, "Yeah." And it's a great fic, because Hutter is such a sweet boy.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, this guy, I see why he didn't really want to, come out of the shadows and smile at me, because he's got these long teeth, but you know how inbred royals got, so I get it. And oh, wow, his nails are actually really long and sharp. That's pretty crazy."
Yeah.
And so they're having sex. It does sort of also answer a question I always have about vampires, which is, how do vampires get erections? And in this tale, once he sucks enough of his blood, he's able to then get an erection. And you're like, okay, it doesn't quite make sense, but it makes more sense than usual.
I mean, it makes sense in the terms of, he's magic.
But, yeah, and he has blood in his body now, so, cool. Hutter has willingly gone into the sexual encounter with Orlok.
Yep.
And like in the story, the cock crows and the sun comes up and he disappears. And then Hutter's like, "Hey, I think that guy might have been a vampire."
Yeah. And all the way through, Orlok is like, "Wow, you're so stupid, but I'm still attracted to you." At the end, when the cock crows, Orlok is like, "Wow, it's even more annoying that I know that you didn't trick me into this."
What are you going to do?
Poor sweet Hutter.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it's fair enough that when the guy sucks your finger and is like, shall we keep each other company for the night? He reads that as a come on.
Yeah, it is.
It makes sense.
It's definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, why not? His boss told him to get the deal done by any means necessary.
How many lives would he have saved by doing that?
Everyone in Wiesburg, Germany is safe now because...
Well, all the people died of plague along the way, all the guys on that ship.
Yep.
Wow.
He's a hero.
That's what the movie should have been. It should have been that gay love can save everyone.
I only ever think of the Supernatural line where gay love pierces through the veil of death to save the day. So true. So true.
So true.
Anyway, that was delightful.
Mm-hmm. Fun fic. Really enjoyed it.
Fun fic. All right. I think it's time to get to our pitch.
Okay, yeah. So we don't have anything for how fans and creators interact because, again, it's like 3 movies and one of them's from 1922. So
and
like,
I don't think Murnau was going to a ton of like fan conventions for Nosferatu and answering questions about it.
If only.
If only.
If only. But we have a way we'd like fans to interact with some creators. We're not sure who this pitch should be sent to, but like if we could just get the internet bubbling up with this idea.
Yeah, we want people to be talking about it in the zeitgeist.
Yeah. I don't remember who produced the new Nosferatu.
Well, I'm sure that Nosferatu is fair use at this point. Yeah, so
yeah,
anybody could do it.
Just start talking about it.
Let's just raise money for a fan production and get this thing done.
So our pitch is, it's a sequel called Nosferatu, Nosfera, the numeral 2.
Obviously. Yes.
The fact that no one has made a Nosferatu to this day, crazy. Especially with all of like the shitty, like now when things go into the public domain, people make horrible horror movies. And you're like, no one's made a Nosferatu.
Where is Nosferatu?
Okay. Anyway. It's a sequel to the 1922 Nosferatu, because as you know, we do not like the new one. But it still stars Nicholas Hoult.
Yes.
Because we like him. And he's had this whole experience where his wife has died and he's sad. But he now pledges to help anyone else who might be in the path of a Nosferatu. He becomes a vampire hunter.
Yep.
And then he falls in love with a new lady and can have a happy marriage.
Yes. And, of course, Willem Dafoe is in it. But this time he's back as the Max Schreck vampire that he plays in Shadow of a Vampire. And he's the new Nosferatu seducing the woman that Nicholas Hoult is in love with.
Yeah.
You see. You get it.
Yeah. So we're taking Dafoe in a great role. An Oscar-nominated Dafoe.
His third Nosferatu movie.
His third Nosferatu movie. I mean, how are we going to make another Nosferatu without Dafoe at this point?
Yeah, you can't. It's against the rules.
Yeah.
And
bring in Nicholas Hoult.
We're going to figure out how to kill the vampire without killing the woman in this one. It's going to have a happy ending.
Well, now he's had some experience, so now he can develop like a trap. He's like, that seemed unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like we could just stick him in the sunlight.
Exactly.
So we just need to like chuck him in a pit or something.
And then open a window,
wait for the sun to come up.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get this done, everybody. It's going to be a great movie.
Nosferatu.
2. It's going to be great. And we're going to shoot it in black and white. It's going to look like the original Nosferatu, right?
Oh, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Great.
It's going to look German Expressionist as all get out.
It's going to be exactly him from Shadow of a Vampire, but in black and white. So he's going to have those crazy dark under-eye circles.
And will he bring back his little hat?
Why not?
I mean, yeah, we got it. It's a cute little hat.
It's a cute little hat. And he's going to have coffins of dirt under his arm.
Full of dirt?
It's going to be delightful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we didn't even mention, in the new Nosferatu, when Nicholas Hoult escapes the castle, he doesn't even make himself a sheet rope.
I mean, they took everything that was charming and delightful about the original and got rid of it.
He just falls into a river.
Lame. All right, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Is it queer baiting, queer coding, or queer canon?
I like to think the original is queer coding.
Yeah.
There is some queer canon right in Shadow of the Vampire because Murnau is gay.
For sure.
And there's nothing in the new one. It's nothing.
No. We're not even being baited. Can't you bait us a little?
Oh, I also suggested to you they should have set up something between Holt and Aaron Taylor Johnson's character because that guy's clearly a misogynist.
Oh, yeah.
He should be in love with his best friend.
Like Mac from It's Always Sunny.
Yes, pretty Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, it would be unrequited, I think, because Nicholas Hoult loves his wife so much, but you could see Aaron Taylor Johnson being into Nicholas Hoult for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why does he hate women so much?
Because he's a Victorian man.
Yeah.
Why did his daughters have to die?
I don't know. It doesn't even follow the rules of the unclean women. All right,
Yay.
so why isn't it canon? Well, it was 1922.
Indeed. Why didn't Eggers make his more gay?
Yeah, what's
'Cause
that
he
all about?
sucks.
He's lame. There was like nothing gay. There was no whiff of anything gay in that movie. Nothing between Holt and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Nothing between Lily Rose Depp and her friend. I mean, they slept in a bed together once.
That's true. That could have been something. But then they slept in a bed together.
And then
she got eaten by rats.
That's
So.
true. Okay, so I don't think we need to do the queer baiting scale because we don't think anyone's getting queer baited.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we talking about next time?
Wait, do we want to gender swap anyone?
Oh, I didn't gender swap. Shoot. All right, well, does gender swapping do anything for us? Because in the original Nosferatu, he doesn't really care about gender.
True.
So if you swap Ellen and Hutter, it's exactly the same story.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of female agent comes to sell him the house, and then he sees a locket with her husband in it.
He's like, wow, he's
what
got
a beautiful neck.
That is fun.
Not period appropriate, though.
No, I don't know how she would have gotten that job.
No. And then gender swapping in the new one.
No, because it's
there's
about female
nothing
sexuality.
to do. Exactly. Although, I mean, can it be about female sexuality if the vampire is a woman?
Oh, I was thinking Holt is the one who let the demon into his
Oh, yeah,
life.
yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense. But if you gender swap Nosferatu.
I mean, that's even more subversive, and then something would definitely have to happen between her and her friend when they share a bed. And that's a fun movie.
Oh, yeah. When are we doing Lady Nosferatu?
We'll get to lesbian vampires.
I'm very excited about the lesbian
eventually.
vampires, which I didn't really know existed. But apparently there's a bunch of movies in the 70s about lesbian vampires.
Well, also the book that inspired Dracula, Camille, is about a lesbian vampire.
It's true.
Like the heart of this, the origin of it is actual female sexuality, but men aren't involved at all.
Thank God.
Ideal.
All right. So gender swapping doesn't do that much unless the new movie gets a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I also said to you not to keep harping
No,
on
you're
it,
good.
but I was like, Robert Eggers, if you're gonna make a movie about female sexuality, maybe get a co-writer who's
Yeah,
a
how
lady.
about a woman writer involved at all? Just a thought. He probably feels like he read enough feminist literary criticism.
Well, he's done the research, you know. When you do the research, you don't have to talk to real people about their lived experience.
That's true. They always say that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What are we talking about next time?
So we got a suggestion a while back to do the Defiant Ones, which has Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis in it. And so we're going to expand out to cover multiple Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis films, including the Defiant
Which
Ones.
was also a different fan suggestion that we should do all of these queer-coded Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis movies. And we were like, why wouldn't we do that? That
Sounds
sounds
great.
delightful.
I love it. I'm very interested to watch the Defiant Ones, so I'm on board.
Absolutely. So that should be fun. I'm not sure yet how they're all going to tie together because we haven't started doing the watching, but it should be fun, if nothing else.
I'm looking forward to all these movies.
Excellent. In the meantime, if you have comments, questions, or concerns, you can reach us at ltbkpod@gmail.com, and we're on Tumblr at ltbkpod. We have a Discord that you can find a link to on our Tumblr. And if you're enjoying the podcast, tell a friend, leave us a review, and subscribe. The next episode of Let the Boys Kiss will be out in November of 2025.